In a brief rundown of the weekend box office, we're seeing The Equalizer 3 take the #1 spot, followed by Gran Turismo, which is actually kind of an interesting thing considering both these movies have kind of modest budgets. I believe it was around 60 million respectively for Gran Turismo and around 70 million for The Equalizer 3. Now, if you jump over to this article from Variety, Equalizer 3 scores second biggest Labor Day opening weekend with $42 million, so, which is actually pretty good for Denzel Washington movie. Also, this is actually the first franchise movie in Denzel Washington's career, which is kind of interesting, but he likes playing the character and he does really good as this type of character. So yeah, good on that. No wonder we're actually seeing some results of it at the box office. The Equalizer 3 is still on track to earn the second biggest Labor Day opening weekend in history with an estimated $42.3 million. Now, the weekend isn't entirely over. I mean, today's Monday. It's a holiday weekend, so there's going to be a little bit more to this, or at least I think this is the projection that it'll end up with around $42 million. But either way, I mean, it still has a pretty decent domestic opening. While the holiday isn't traditionally a box office draw, Denzel Washington's assassin thriller surpasses the previous Labor Day debut runner-up, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2007. The remake, that grossed $30 million on the Labor Day weekend, and Shang-Chi, The Legend of the Ten Rings, still holds the Labor Day crown with $94.6 million 4-day opening in 2021. Nevertheless, Equalizer 3's 3-day opening figure of $34.5 million is nearly the same as its predecessors. The 2015 original grossed $34 million in a traditional 3-day frame, while 2018 sequel scored $36 million with a $70 million production budget. Co-financed by TSG and Eagle Pictures, Columbia Pictures, Equalizer 3 is targeting a similar performance by the end of its run. The third installment earned a A grade on CinemaScore and holds a 75% on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, the 75% on Rotten Tomatoes is the critic score. If you look at the audience score, it's actually pretty favorable, and that's kind of consistent with the rest of the movies in this franchise. And just to talk about a little bit more about the predecessors on this, I mean, as you can see, yeah, this got $34 million in the 3-day opening, like it said in the article, and it ended up grossing around $192 million worldwide. The second one is around more of the same. So we're looking at this one with the 3-day opening around $34 million. So we're expecting a little bit more. Now, granted, the budget on this one is slightly higher than the second one, and the second budget was slightly higher than the first one. And also, we saw a slight dip between the total worldwide gross between the first one and the second one. But again, I mean, there's nothing to suggest that this won't do more of the same with that one. Is it going to be a huge return for the studio? No, because like I said, the budget on this one is a little bit higher. So we're probably going to see this needs to make around $175 million in order to be considered a success. So if it goes along the same lines as the first two, they getting around 190 million. That's not a bad return, all things considered. Now, is this going to be a huge, like, couple $100 million for the studio that it's going to make in? Well, no, of course not. I mean, that's a little much, but at the same time, having movies like this with kind of like, I wouldn't say 70 million is a small budget or anything like that. I wouldn't even say it's necessarily a mid-level budget, but it's a lot more modest than what we're seeing with a lot of these other big budget movies that have been coming out this last summer. I mean, things like The Flash and Indiana Jones. I mean, those movies made cost hundreds of millions of dollars to produce, and they didn't do too great. Both of them respectively have probably lost several $100 million individually for their respective studios. Now, when you have something like this, it kind of has a proven track record. They have a kind of a consistent barometer to kind of expect, like, okay, if we spend this much, this is how much we can expect to get a return on this. Not to mention you have cast and filmmakers behind this who aren't really trying to do anything special with it, or aren't trying, I mean, which I say that in kind of a good way. It's not trying to do anything crazy or doesn't have any statements to make. I mean, it's just trying to make an enjoyable action movie that people would actually like to see, and that's what we're seeing right now. And as a result, people are going out to see it. Is it huge numbers? No, but it's not trying to get those huge numbers. It's just trying to get the numbers of the people that they are targeting. I mean, they have a target demographic for this type of movie, and they're making it for them and at a budget that can accommodate such a thing. Because when you're making a movie and you're trying to accommodate a huge audience, but it's a niche subject, then you're going to end up losing out. And we're seeing that with other movies like The Flash. I keep bringing that up, but that was a movie that I saw the ratings on it, or not the ratings, the audience reviews on that, and For the most part, the people who saw it tend to like it or thought it was okay. But the problem is they spent too much money making it, and the target demographic for that movie was a lot smaller than what the budget could accommodate. But for this, they knew what they were doing, and as a result, we're going to see a success on this one, or at least a moderate success. Now, what I would wish other studios would take a lesson to in the future on this is to understand that not every movie has to be made for everything. I believe I've said this many, many times on this channel. You need to understand who your audience is and make something for that, and basically just worry about making a small movie that makes a little bit of return, as opposed to everything has to be a home run that makes hundreds of millions of dollars and it has to cost hundreds of millions of dollars to produce. And if we see more studios doing that and taking lessons from movies like The Equalizer 3 or Gran Turismo, then I think things will be better for the audience in the long run. But let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. And if you like this video, make sure you click the like button, share the video, and subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date with the latest news. Thank you.